So I'm standing next to this rather alien looking plant. It's really kind of neat looking. And I was trying to determine exactly what it is. And you have to be careful. Is this Angelica, a very useful medicinal herb? Or could it be poison hemlock? Not a good idea to mess around with. Or could it be cow parsnip or giant hogweed? So what is this plant? Let's try to determine it. This is a beautiful specimen located right by the falls in my creek. In the distance there you can see, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There's at least 9 right in that patch of these plants. And you can see they have a purple stem and a very kind of like snowball effect flower. And I think one of them is probably in excess of 6 feet, because I'm 5 feet. So they can grow pretty tall. And you know, last year there might have been one there. So that shows you just how they can kind of take over an area. First, let's look at the giant hogweed. That's a problem in some areas. I know we do have them in Michigan, but it's very, very rare. Must be a really imposing species because it can get up to 14 feet tall. And it appears a lot like this plant. However, when we research it a little bit more, we'll find differences. But the bad thing about this giant hogweed is anyone who touches the plant or comes in contact with the oil can get photodermatitis. I'll show you a picture. Pretty gross, huh? Makes poison ivy look good. Because what happens is you get a little of that sap on you. You might not even know you did. And then you keep on working out in the yard, whatever, and the sunlight brings out this terrible, terrible blistering and almost burning like rash. And it can not come out for 12 or even 48 hours later. But the bad thing about this, it isn't like poison ivy, just where you suffer and then it goes away. Unfortunately, it can turn your patches of skin dark color and can scar and leave you a permanent scarring from just contacting the plant. So this stuff is nasty, so we want to rule that out first. But there's several things that is different about the giant hogweed as compared to this plant. First, let's look at the giant hogweed stem. It's green with purple splotches, so well, could be. I mean, this says purple, but not splotches, but then you look and it has coarse hairs. Okay, this is completely smooth, so it doesn't have that. And then if you looked at the flowers, they look more like a giant Queen Anne lace flower, whereas this flower is softball shaped. And the leaves are also a bit different. So, thank God we've ruled out giant hogweed. Now let's look at the parsnips. There's both the wild parsnip and the cow parsnip. Now, both of these parsnips you could get photodermatitis from also, but not as bad as that giant hogweed. The wild parsnip, though, it's really easy to rule that out because it has yellow flowers. And in this case, we have white to light green flowers. So we know it's not the wild parsnip. And the cow parsnip, it has a green stem. Just green. So again, we know that this plant isn't the cow parsnip. So far, so good. But we also have to look at something called poisonous hemlock. And just the name does not sound good. Now, the poisonous hemlock also, of course, has the photodermatitis. It has white flowers, but they're more flat on top again. It has purple splotches, however, on the stem, and it can get 4 to 9 feet tall. However, the leaves look different. They're more bright green. Let me show you a picture. Now, compare it to the leaves of the plant I have. They really don't look similar. So I think on that basis, we can rule out the poisonous hemlock. Well, that leaves us with Angelica, which is what I really thought it was. Angelica has a purple stem. As you can see, this is purple, but not purple throughout the whole stem. But one of the most characteristic features of Angelica is the flowers. They're, softball shaped. And that's what these flowers are. They're not flat on top. And when you look at the leaves, I think this is an Angelica. However, there's one other plant we'd have to be careful of, and that is the water hemlock. Again, the water hemlock can be purple splotched on the stem, so we gotta be careful. This is more smooth purple, but you never know. And the flowers are more white, lacy, so they aren't softball shaped. And the leaves are more sawtooth. And again, the leaves on this plant are not sawtooth. So when you read this, that water hemlock is the most violently toxic plant that grows in North America. Only a small amount of the toxic substance in the plant is needed to produce poisoning in livestock or in humans. The toxic cicotoxin, acting directly on the central nervous system, is a violent convulsant. Clinical signs of poisoning occur when a threshold dose is reached, after which grand mal seizures and death occur. Pretty scary symptoms. I guess it would be great to keep as a prepper poisoning. But you definitely wouldn't want to confuse this plant and use their roots for cooking or medicinal purposes. Angelica is often used in combination with other herbs to treat ingestion problems, vomiting, respiratory problems, heartburn, and a variety of ailments. And the seeds of Angelica are used as an ingredient in vermouth. All different parts of the plant can be used. For food, you can cut up the stem and use it kind of like you prepare asparagus. And leaves can be used in stews and soups. But you gotta be careful. You want to make sure you really have Angelica. Hope you've enjoyed Let's ID That Plant. And you know what? Even though I'm pretty sure it's Angelica, I would not try to make Angelica candy or anything from it because I'm not 100% sure. And I am not an expert in that. So I am not going to eat anything from this plant. However, when it's by my creek, it's going to be removed because that wasn't part of my landscape planting. So you might be very, very sure, but when there are poisonous lookalikes or toxic chemicals excreted from a plant, be very, very careful just using the internet or a book to ID a plant. In my case, yep, I think it's Angelica, but I'm not completely sure, and I believe in being safe. This is Prepper Potpourri saying please subscribe, share the knowledge, thumbs up if you like this video. If you want more, just click on that little bell below. And thank you so much for your support.